أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بفضل بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. Ya Ma'shar al-Mu'mineen, today we are going to discuss some of the historical accounts of our third Faatemi Imam, Maulana Ali Zaynul Aabedeen, Sayyid al-Raki'een was-Sajideen alayhi salatu was-salam. We hold our third Imam in high esteem and veneration as he is popularly acclaimed Sayyid al-Raki'een was-Sajideen, means the master of those who prostrate and bow down in front of Allah Ta'ala. He was born on 5th of Sha'ban al-Kareem, 33rd Hijri year, on Sunday in Madinatul Munawwara. His father, Sayyid Shohadaa Imaam Husain alayhi salam, and his mother, Maulatuna Shahrbanu, the daughter of the king of Kisra. Maulaa had lived through the times of his grandfather, Maulana Ali Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam, his uncle, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. He was 8 years of age at the time of the Shahaadat of Maulana Ali alayhi salam. 17 years of age at the Shahaadat of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and he was 28 during the tragedy of Karbalaa. The heavy responsibility of Imamat fell upon him at the young age after the Shahadat of his father, Imam Husain alayhi salam, in Karbalaa Mu'alla. He is revered for his unique piety, devotion and ibadat, offering 1000 rakat of namaz throughout the day and night. And this was his daily routine and schedule. The expressions of his face would change during the ruku' and sujood. He would shiver and quiver while standing in the namaz. When Imam was asked about this condition, then he replied with utmost piety that during namaz I realize myself standing in front of the great king, that is Allah Ta'ala. Once upon a time, a big snake came near him, and it was Shaitan. He tried to give pain to our Imam through its bites, but Imam recognized him that Shaitan is in him, and it is the face of Shaitan in the surah of Azdaha, means the big snake. And he tried to disturb our Imam, our Maulaa, so that he turned his face from his ibadat and leave ibadat. But our Imam slapped upon its face and the big snake disappeared. So from the ghaib, this laqab was announced कि Anta ya Imam Zaynul Aabedeen, you are the zenith of the worshippers. You are the beauty of the worshippers. Due to his extensive sujood, he would often develop swelling in the knees, and people called him Zussafanat, means the person having swellings. During namaz, his facial outcome would change due to his reverence towards Allah Ta'ala, and he would be so engrossed in the namaz that he would be unaware of all happenings around him. To illustrate his devotion in namaz, there is an incident when in his infancy Shahzadah Imam Muhammad al-Baqir fell into the well while our Maulaa was performing namaz. The worried mother came to tell our Maulaa, but the Imam remained unmindful of it. He kept on praying, and once the namaz was performed, he found his wife weeping, and he asked her why she was crying. She said that the Shahzada had fallen into the well, and then Imam replied, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and lowered his hand into the well, pulled out the Shahzada unharmed and untouched from the waters of deep well. Imam Zayn Aabedeen then questioned his wife whether she has lost trust in Allah Ta'ala, and didn't she know that he was engrossed in his ibadat? If he would have turned his face from ibadat, then Allah would have turned his holy face from me, O my wife. He said this. The Imam was also well known for his generosity and sadaqah. He would give away the garments which he had worn just once for one season to the needy who used to sit outside the mosque. He also personally delivered food to 100 poor masakeen in Medina daily. Every night he ordered his Ahlul Bayt for extra food to be cooked, and when all were asleep, he would fill mashki. He would fill mashki with food and distribute it amongst poor. These poor and then children would always wait eagerly for the arrival of this mashki wala, means our Maulaa, our Imam, without realizing that he was the Imam of the time, Imamul Zaman. The Imam is also known to have grieved the most during his lifetime and withstood tremendous difficulties with fortitude and sabr jameel for 34 long years, continuously. He and the Ahlul Bayt underwent torture but stood resolute to uphold Deen Islam and truth against the infidel Yazid La'natullahi alayhi. During the great tragedy at Karbalaa, our Maulaa Imam Zaynul Aabedeen alayhi salam was with his father and witnessed and then withstood firmly the enemy's zulm, tyranny. He saw his beloved father suffering wounds after wounds as the Ashab and the Ahlul Bayt, including his uncle, brothers and cousins, were slain one by one on the plains of Karbalaa. The Imam was gravely ill, thirsty and hungry like others, and also he wanted to acquire Shahadat like all other Shohadaa of Karbalaa, but could not do that because Allah Ta'ala has decreed upon him to live and carry the mantle of Imamat, and through him and his progeny the Noor of Hidayat would unceasingly, continuously survive on the surface of this earth till Qiyamah. Helpless, but he bravely endured all the sufferings around him. In a moving event, Imam Husain visited the Khaymaga for the last time to bid farewell to his haram. He embraced Imam Ali Zaynul Aabedeen, his beloved son, who was sick and could not stand by himself, and told him, "O my beloved son, for me is a shahadat, but you will live after me. Enemies will not harm you. You are the Imam. I am going to do nas upon you. You are the Imam, and now with you the Noor of Allah will spread on this earth." The enemies made many attempts to slay Imam Ali Zainul Aabedeen after the tragedy of Karbalaa. In an incident soon after the Shahaadat of his father, a Kufi saved the Imam from being slain. However, for a mere 300 dirhams, he betrayed the Imam. The second was when he recited the ayat of Quran Kareem to counter the insults heaped on Ahlul Bayt by Ibn Ziyad La'natullahi alayhi. The La'in was angry and wanted to slay the Imam, but Maulaatuna Zainab alayhi salam stepped forward, and the enemy was surprised at her bravery and got back, refrained in harming the Imam. In Kufa, Maulaatuna Zainab saved the Imam again by her hujjats and arguments. All this proved that Allah Ta'ala had protected him, as he was destined to carry on the imamat of Ali Fatima and Ali Ali. Imam Ali Zainul Aabedeen was the living Shohadaa of Karbalaa, who witnessed the painful sight of seeing the bodies of the martyrs being trampled and crushed horribly under the hooves of the enemy's horses. Tents were looted, and the bereaved ladies and children were taken captives. The Ahlul Bayt were then mounted on bare backs of camels, with Maulana Ali Zainul Aabedeen bound in chains and barefooted, leading the Qafla, accompanied by the severed heads of the Shohadaa, including Rasul Husain, mounted on the spears. Our ill-fated Ahlul Bayt of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was paraded from city to city, and they journeyed from Karbalaa, which was in Iraq, to the court of Yazid La'natullahi alayhi in Damascus, Syria. They stopped at 25 places, and this took 62 days. The journey from Karbalaa to Sham. They were kept hungry and thirsty, and whenever Imam Ali Zainul Aabedeen stopped due to pains, the enemies would slash him with whips. When the tattered and tired Qafla arrived in Damascus, Imam Ali Zainul Aabedeen was bound in chains to a pillar, and the Qafla were imprisoned. However, the rebellion by the people at the tragedy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's family terrified Yazid, who then realized that it was a grave mistake he has done. Imam Ali Zainul Aabedeen, Maulaatuna Zainab and other members of a bereaved family stayed in the captivity for 9 months and 6 days, during which grief-stricken Maulaatuna Fatima died. Then they left for Medina. Rasul Hussain, accompanied with Ahl Haram mounted on spearheads, and was finally buried in Misr, Qahira al-Mu'izziyah. During the journey to Medina, the Qafla first halted at Karbalaa on 20th Safar, 62nd Hijri year, where all of them did ziyarat of Shohadaa Karbalaa with Maulana Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari Rizwanullahi alayhi. It is related by Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari Rizwanullahi alayhi that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in respect of ziyarat Imam Husain alayhi salatu wasalam that Allah Ta'ala will grant the reward of 100 Hajj to the Zair, to the visitor, at the Qabr Anwar of Maulana Imam Husain alayhi salatu wassalam. And our mu'mineen do niyat, and they go to visit the Rawza Husainiyah. The people of Medina gathered to welcome the Imam and his Qafla. the broken-hearted Imam who had still not recovered from the deep wounds of tragedy at Karbalaa and the subsequent journey to Sham, was not in proper condition that he could deliver the haqiqat of Karbalaa immediately. Imam Ali Zainul Aabedeen spent the rest of his life in Medina in ibadat, in dua, and showering rahmat on mu'mineen. He never wore black clothes. He never held in his hands any of the alam. It is not our aqidah. It is not in the aqaid of Ismaili Tayyibi community, our community. We believe in the white dress, which is the Jannati dress, which is the dress of Ashabul Jannah, Ashabul Yameen. The white dress. Many of these du'as which our Imam recited after the tragedy of Karbalaa in Medina have been compiled into the Saifa known as As-Sahifatu Sajjadiyya. He had performed 24 Hajj. He used to travel from Medina to Mecca by camel, and never once did he whip the animal, which shows his halimi and karimi, his gracefulness. The tragedy of Karbalaa always remained afresh in his mind. Each time when food and water was brought near him, he would recall the hunger and thirst of Karbalaa and weep and used to cry. His intiqal Purmalal occurred on 18th of Muharram 94H in Medina, and he was buried in Jannatul Baqi near his grandmother Maulaatuna Faatema Az-Zahra alayhi salam. May Allah Ta'ala shower rahmat and barakat ilahiyya on his qabr anwar. And at last we recite salawatu salam on our Ahlul Bayt. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ونبينا محمد وبارك وسلم. عظم الله أجورنا بمصائبنا بالحسين ورزقنا شفاعته وشفاعة جده وأبيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه وادخلنا يوم القيامة تحت لوائه العظم بحق سيدنا محمد وآله شرفا وكرما وعزم. اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ونبينا محمد وبارك وسلم.